Well, what is mummery?
What is mummery?
I mean, actually, when you think about it, what is it?
That's a good question.
A mummer's a mummer.
To me, it's hard to explain. When you have to explain to somebody, it's like, wow, how do you, without them looking at you like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's more than just a club, more than just an organization. It's part of life.
Friendship, pride.
It's a part of my makeup. It's a part of what I've not only inherited from family, but also have been a part of more than half my life.
Oh, it's a family.
Family.
I want to say family, I want to say loyalty, and brotherhood.
Love, passion, and family.
It's like a family, Family, camaraderie.
Passion, love. It's just sometimes it's lost of words when I think of this place. I love this place. It's an amazing place, amazing people in here.
A lifelong friendship with many people.
I love it. It's just everybody. There's always characters that walk through this door. There's always that one character. You know what I mean? And you remember those characters throughout the years.
I've seen some guys come and go. I've seen some guys never go. I got some guys 50-some years here.
You're gonna make me tear up. That's what it is. You have to love it first. If you don't love it, then you're never going to be good at it. You're never going to enjoy it.
I think it's just a gathering of friends to celebrate, like, say, a year-long journey. And it's just, like I said, it's just a big celebration.
At the end of the day, we're all family. We're all downtowners, and that's where it sticks. We may disagree on different things, how things should run, and this and that, but at the end of the day, we're all downtowners.
You got to have the passion. And in all reality, we are a family, because when something happens to someone, we pull together.
Best part about being a downtowner is all the friendship from the 45 years being in here. I mean, you meet a lot of people. You get to know a lot of people. I mean, there's hardships involved too. Of course, people move away, people pass on. I mean, but like, it's a great experience just from the friendship part.
Home away from home, my other family.
Dysfunctional at times.
Other than my children and grandchildren, this is my other family.
You got to love it. Or you might as well go home.
When you spend so much time, whether you're building floats, working on suits, or building a clubhouse,
Oh, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of camaraderie, a lot of work.
It's a camaraderie. It's more than one day a year.
You have a lot of good people to make it work, and that's what keeps us going.
364 days of work, and like we always had a motto: if you're having a good time on New Year's Day, you're not doing your job.
It's a lot of money, a lot of time, but in the end, it's worth it.
That's just me. I'm just a mummer.
We strive for one thing only, to keep this club alive and hit first prize on New Year's Day. So that's how I look at it.
Like, we came from an organization where we did marches. In the 60s and 70s, your drills were military. That was your drill: straight, left, right.
At 21 when I came into the club. And I lived on 2500 Eisminger. And around the corner used to be our first clubhouse. Bill Isaacs was the captain then at 12th and Oregon. It was called P&B Bar. We used to go out of there.
I remember when I was a little kid, always hanging out with my father on 12th and Oregon.
And the club used to come up Camac Street, which is beside Eisminger. And every New Year's I'd hear them coming up and I'd run around and see them.
It's like Mardi Gras and steroids.
The downtowners used to be at the VFW post up on Mensing Avenue when I was a kid. And that's where we used to hold our meetings. And then we moved to our clubhouse on 2nd Street. were there for 18 years. And then we wanted to have a bigger clubhouse because the one on 2nd Street was a little small for us.
It definitely helped our club grow because our last clubhouse was just a single row home on 2nd Street. It was just way too small.
And this came along and we bought this place and gutted it and redid everything to the way we wanted it to look.
But, you know, it's a business.
This place needs to make some money, so we try and rent this out as much as we can to generate some money and to keep the club going the way it should be ran.
There isn't a day that goes by that my phone's turned off.
And you're building something as a team from point A to point B
And you contribute whatever you can contribute.
to get to that finish line, you know, and that's where a lot of fun is.
Like I always said, we're the best organized club on the street. The other clubs come to us when it comes to financing and how you do this and how you do that. We got good leaders in this club. And that's important. That keeps everybody in line.
Bill Isaacs was a hard-nosed German. It was his way or the highway.
The Bill Isaacs era, it was just one float going up the street. And then over the years it changed and like we were bringing more and more stuff up Broad Street and things were breaking and
Billy was the builder. He was the foundation man, a builder. He could take a piece of wood and make anything you need, and that was our floats.
We should call them houses on wheels because that's how you had to build them back then. They had to be strong enough to go all the way up Broad Street and last. You know, and not that we don't build them strong now, but I mean, think of potholes and trolley tracks and all that kind of stuff that's on Broad Street that you had to deal with doing that. Manhole covers, not pretty hitting the wrong manhole cover with a wheel, trust me.
There was no in-between with Billy.
Bill Isaacs, the man who started this, and the complaints he had in 1962 are the same complaints we have in 2019.
And the people that did love him, they'd go through a brick wall for him. Bobby Galvin was another captain. He took on after Billy passed away, Bobby Galvin. Bobby Galvin was like a priest. I really never had a father. He was my father, Bobby Galvin. He brought me into the club. It doesn't matter if you call him morning, noon, or night. You could talk to him. If anything you needed, he was there. Bobby was a good guy, too. We had another captain, Richie Hurren, 6 years. He was a good captain, too. He tried his best. They all tried. And he was a good leader.
Our past captain, Jim Julia.
He was just an all-around great guy.
Jimmy's actually from the corporate world, but it didn't matter whether you're in the blue-collar world, the corporate world, a student.
Is because when you stand up and you talk, and there's 50 people out there, there's 50 different personalities, and they all come from different areas, and you have to reach all of them. So he always said that.
Jimmy was like meek and mild.
And the whole 30 years I knew him, he was going to school.
Jimmy had it in here. Jimmy could open a book and write something down, and the following week it would be 37 pages. He would have this job for you to do, this job for you. He was well organized, Jimmy.
He could talk to you and make you feel comfortable at any time.
You will get nobody to say a bad word against Jimmy Julia. Nobody.
He always had that ability, and he could sell a used car to a used car salesman. That's what he could do. So, and he always made you feel that good.
I'm just glad Jimmy got a win before he was done, because we put in a lot of good suits with him, and they put out a lot of good work on the street. Just we weren't picked enough. Frankie DeVito. DeVito was broke out of Billy Isaacs' mold.
When you're a captain or president, it's all on you. I mean, even though there's a lot of people involved, you feel that pressure because you got to, raise the money, you got to put the show on.
He would go, you would go through a brick wall for Frankie. You might not agree with him, and you'll fight with him. They fight down the warehouse all the time, but everybody gets the job done. It's just the kind of man he is. If he says something, you can take him at his word.
You get all the praise when you do good, but you also get all the non-praise when you do bad. So, and you're still working as hard either way. You know what I mean? Nobody sets out to do bad. It's just with six people in the judges booth like that day,
Anthony Stagliano, he's another one. The one we have now, Anthony, very good captain. He's another man with the books. He's a very good mind.
The fact that my cousin took over when I retired as captain, and watching him grow in that position has really been a treat too.
Great leader too. Man is to the point.
For most of us, it's like a second job. It's a second job we enjoy doing, but it's a second job.
Doesn't matter whether you're a 5-year-old coming in or you're a 68-year-old man. He treats everybody the same. They all did.
Them guys belong in the Hall of Fame. Not because they're nice guys, but they gave part of themselves to this club.
They're going to be watching this, right? My wife's going to be watching this. It's very impactful to my family. I have 3 kids. They're all in this club with me. One's a performing member, and she does great. The other 2 are juvenile members. My wife is not, while she's not a member, she plays a huge role helping the club.
My wife's involved. She cooks and does things like that and stuff like that. So it brings our family together, and our immediate family, and then our downtown family together. That's probably the best stuff for me.
My daughter Jada joined the club with me a couple years ago, and my daughter Ava, her first year parading with us was this year. She had been pretty active in school and wanted to do it before she went away for college this year, her one last hurrah, so to speak. But I think she's now hooked, so she may have to be a December mummer.
At one time, my son was here, and he left. He doesn't parade anymore. My dad was actually an original member of the Downtowners, helped start the club.
It's a family thing. Everybody's in it, except the wife. She don't want nothing to do with it.
The ongoing joke is in October, if you're not arguing with your wife, then you're not doing your job as a captain or an officer or anything like that.
For me, it means you argued with your wife from September to January. It means you put the club sometimes in front of your family.
Everybody's one big family when we come in. The rest of the year, we do a lot of pick on each other. That's good. It makes it a lot of fun.
It just gets in your blood, I got my son Joey in, and he's got 20 years in the club already now. So I guess he fell into the same category as what you were just talking about.
Family's number one, that's it. That's what I would say. No matter whether you're just coming into the club, you've been here for years, you're family. We don't have it over the door. I asked for that once. Put family over the door, but they've never done it yet. Maybe they will one of these years.
And even the wives get into it, did you get voted in? How come you didn't get voted in? Well, it didn't happen this year. You know what I'm saying? They may complain and all, but when you do get it, they're proud.
Every New Year's morning, we all get dressed together, and then
Well, most of the issues, it's friendship. You could be screaming and being at each other's throats, and 5 minutes later, you'll be sitting at the bar having a beer with the same guy like nothing ever happened. I mean, it's like fighting with your brother. It's like there's an argument, but once the argument's over, it's over. It's like you move on.
The fact that I could pray to my son, when he first started, I was, I guess, somewhere around 35, somewhere around there, and he was 5, and we were competing together for a championship. Where can you do that at that age? You can't play ball or whatever, you know what I mean? And so you could be with your 10-year-old son and be 40 years old and compete for a championship together. It's pretty rare. So that's my favorite. And my family, I got my 2 cousins and my son in, and my daughter prayed with me one year, trying to get her back, but being around them our whole family grew up with this, so
You know, so that's dedication.
Because the reality of it is you're out a lot. And a lot of times your obligation to what you have to do comes before what you might have to do with your family. So it's a balancing act, and you try your best to do it, but sometimes your family does get impacted because of it.
So you take a lot away from your family and you do all this. With the advent of the music, you know, they dance more now. If you look at our productions, all the clubs, they dance. So who's going to dance better than women?
Change wise, I mean, through 30 years, I mean, you know, technically, it really doesn't. It hasn't really changed much. I don't think it has. Only real change is we brought women in. That's about it. And I think that's to the good. You know, I think with the females as members, it actually brings another dynamic into the club. And I think it's something that's I love. I think it's a great thing that we did. You know, it helps out the club, helps the morale out, and all that stuff. So
Brought more people into the club, and it brought in like another, like it was like a breath of fresh air. It seems like the club got alive again.
I'm glad we took in women. They put a different twist on the drill. You know what I'm saying? Guys could dance, but girls dance better. And we all wish for January 3rd, you know, when we're going through the week of Convention Center, which we call Hell Week.
Hell Week.
We call it Hell Week, between the day after Christmas and New Year's night, you know, or the day after New Year's, it's Hell Week. But every year is, you know, every year is just about the same, you know.
You'll find that after January 2nd hits and the first week, people in organizations and clubs, they go through a withdrawal.
I mean, January 2nd, we're all judges. We all look at the TV and say, he should have never did that. That shouldn't have won. This should have won. We were better than that. But
The biggest thing is in January, I call it the month of respect. You pay your respect to the winners, you do the serenade, you do the appropriate things. Hopefully the serenade comes to us and people pay their respects to us. You celebrate all your achievements.
And then within a month's time, we pick our theme.
We let the entire membership vote on the theme selection.
Some clubs that they have a suit committee and just them, they pick the suit, and the clubs, that's the suit's gonna be.
The costume committee will narrow down all the themes that are submitted by members. There's a presentation, a vote, and then they will narrow it down to 3 votes.
The guys get together, they pick what they like, pick the top 3, then they bring it back to the membership.
Those 3 themes are then presented and voted on by the body. It's
you know, it's just the steps that we do, and you know, and each step to me, it's exciting.
probably the biggest meeting night in terms of participation that we have. So everybody really comes, shows up that night, wants to participate, wants to vote, and wants to have a say in what they're gonna dress up as the following year.
I mean, it's not an easy thing to get a suit in. You have to present it to a few members on the board. They pick 3 suits out of all the suits. Then it goes before the body of people, and we vote.
yeah, so everybody has to say. You can stand up at any meeting, give your opinion, and then as soon as the meeting's over, we go to the bar and have a beer. So
Everybody can submit a suit, anybody. And we've had suits that came in on napkins. Napkins. The guy had an idea, drew it up, presented it, and we went out with it.
And then once March is there, you start taking the theme that you picked and you submit it to the Fancy Brigade Association. And if it gets passed, you're into April. And now you're at the point where you're starting to set the foundation of the theme, the storyline of the theme, getting sketches, starting to build how you're going to put the show on and how you're going to make it work. And then as you get into the May and the June, you start working on the music of what you think could work with this. And
then basically there's a lull. You know, it's kind of, you go into summer.
And now at this point, you're at full throttle where you're mid-year and you're saying, okay, well, I've met with my sketch artist and I have my designs and I know what kind of floats I'm going to do. I have an idea of music. I've already met with my costumer, and now you're starting to pick out fabrics in midsummer and, you know, figure out, okay, how, what you're going to do from a costume standpoint with a costumer and how you're going to start building these things.
Which I look forward to going down the shore. We're going to Summer Mummers. We open North Walworth. So there again, we're all together. We have a good time. Now you bring your little children, who's bringing their grandchildren. So it's just another time we're all together. So summertime is like a lull.
By the time summer ends, in most cases for us, we can even have all of our costumes in hand.
It all flows pretty well.
And now we're starting to work on our costumes in September and putting the little bling and jewel and things like that. And September's here and your warehouse is starting to get cleaned up, and now you're starting to build, and you're meeting with your theme committee again to, you know, structure on what you're going to build, structurally with what materials you need.
By September, we have everything laid out, what we're going to be building and how it's going to be built. And for those 4 months, we hit it hard every Monday and Wednesday. And
It starts up again, you know, down the warehouse, planning on what we're going to build, get a dumpster, clean out.
You start drill and you start practice, and then October comes and now you're practicing 2 times a week, and now you have things actually erected and things are starting to get painted, hopefully. And then by November, you should have a large portion of your set painted and built, and you should have an idea, and you're still working on your costumes, and you still going into practice. And then December's here and you're moving into the convention center, and you have your Soup Sunday celebrations and your rally days, and next thing you know, you're moving into the convention center.
When you go to convention center, it's like a construction site there with each club.
everybody gets bigger and bigger every year.
January comes, January 1st, and you do it.
Curtain open, seeing the lights.
And the lights hit you.
The lights would be light. It'd be lighter than light. It's almost like you see the light at the end of the tunnel. They say sometimes
The adrenaline rush.
that light made you forget your routine. I mean, a lot of people probably said that to you. Like you would go, oh, God, what step do I start with? What step? For like 2 minutes, you'd be like, oh God, and then it would click back in as soon as the music starts.
You're leaving it in the hands of 6 gentlemen. Maybe they don't understand what you're doing.
It's just with 6 people in the judge's booth like that day, you know.
We put on a production. We put on a show. You know, and with that show, we try to tell a story that when you walk away, you knew what we were doing.
Every year, it just gets better and better. People coming up with new things, new ideas.
You come together and you just try to go for that first. Try to go for first every year. Some years are better than others.
You need the edge. You try to find something that's completely different, hasn't been done.
Can we do this? Can we do that? And you run it all through the captain. I mean, he's the guy. He makes the decision. You know,
Has some kind of gimmicks that can surprise everybody. As long as you can get that right combination, refreshing, I think you get a winner. It's just the idea of finding it.
And we've taken up suits that we should have won with, that we didn't win with.
Sometimes they don't work, and sometimes the ones you think that are going to be terrible turn out to be phenomenal.
Other clubs will come in, you guys ain't gonna win. He's not gonna win.
So it just goes to show you, just keep on swinging, you're going to hit it once in a while.
put the best show you got and go for it and leave it up to them 6 judges. Sometimes you cry, and sometimes you laugh.
And sometimes the judges just don't give you what you're supposed to get, but that's why you keep on going.
I've cried many a time coming down 2nd Street. But you learn that with, just being around, you get to see what works and what doesn't work.
From about 8 o'clock at night till about 1 o'clock is probably the best time of year because there's no pressure at all, because it's just about being around having friends and having a great time where you're not worried about anything but that moment. And obviously it's always a better time if you finish high too. So,
But when it's all done, you look at it and you say, wow, we did a nice job with that. That looks good. So.
You can get all the education in the world in college, you can become a doctor. We've had doctors, lawyers, whatever the case might be, but we're talking about life.
It's helped me. Like, it's hard to say. I mean, I ran work when I was in construction. I ran work, and you know, you led people, and being in here and being with people and being on various committees, it like basically gets you like into that mode.
How to like deal with different types of people, different personalities, you know.
How to manage people, how to manage a business, because at the end of the day, yes, we're an organization, and yeah, we're, you know, what they say, a hobby, but this is in a sense, a portion of it is a business, because you have to make money to, you know, stay afloat and stay organized and pay for things. But you also have to be a manager of people, manager of personalities.
This club has always nurtured that for me and allowed me to do things that I would never be able to do in the real world.
Well, I've seen lots of guys come and go. Seen some of the younger kids who've been in the club when they were 5 years old grow up in this club and who are still in the club. My son being one, Jimmy's son, he's been in there since he was probably 5 as well, who was still in the club, and there's other guys in there who've been here for like a long time.
You know, you have 100+ members, from social to parading to non-parading members, and each one of them has a different personality. Each one of them has a different thing going on in their life, you know? So, you know, we celebrate together, we mourn together, we grieve together, you know, we laugh together, we cry together. So, you know, there's a portion of that when we say that you learn more about, you know, as a member or as an officer, as a Downtowners than you could in college, because you're learning so many different aspects of life.
As much as this is a hobby and a tradition that we do, it is a business, because this club brings in a lot of money, and you got to distribute it the right way, make sure people are paid, all your vendors and stuff like that, the right way and as fast as you can. It does teach you a lot about life that way, because basically the most money that you bring in is from the membership itself. So you have to go to them and try and talk about, oh, you're behind or you're on time. And you got 100 different personalities. And you know, when you have 100 different personalities, you're not making everybody happy all at once. So there's a saying when you're president, if half the club doesn't like you, that means you're doing a good job. If they all like you, you're not doing a good job, because you got to, you know, you're in charge of making those decisions. So that's the way I look at it. I don't know.
And I think that that's the interesting thing, because, you know, we laugh, it's economics, it's human resources, it's sales, it's marketing, it's, you know, medical, it's everything combined. And it's a lot of things that you could not, you know, just learn in one spot, in one school, one institution.
I literally have no idea why I do it, but there's one thing I do. No, it seems like I can't believe, like, I sit here and I listen to these guys and I'm having fun. I could just sit here and listen to the old guys talk all day long and listen to the stories back in the day. And
We don't do this because we like it. We do this because we love it.
It's part of our being, our fiber here.
I think once it's in your blood, it's kind of there for life, I guess.
Once it gets in their blood, forget it. You're in for life.
Well, early memory for me was my older cousins. When we used to live down in South Philly and on 8th Street there. I wasn't old enough to go yet, but my older cousins were, you know, 5, 6 years older than me, and I remember them painting their slippers right on the sidewalk right out there, and walking from 8th Street all the way up through Jackson, all the way up to Broad, and doing their thing. That was my first early memories of that. But then I moved out of South Philly into Delaware County, and so kind of it left me. And then I met a friend through playing softball named Roland George, who was a longtime member, who's no longer with us, unfortunately. But he got me to Marshall, and the bug just kind of bit me. It just took off from there. So
The thrill of the crowd, the tradition of the everyone getting together in the city, the cold weather, you know, running in your grandmother's house to get, you know, a soup and a sandwich. Like, that was I guess, the overall, you know, effect that it had, you know, before I actually became someone in costume.
Well, the friendship and the camaraderie and just knowing everybody and being together with everybody has always been there.
I wish everybody from the outside could come in and join and be a downtowner, because it's so goddamn great to be a downtowner, you know? But
My father got me in the Army. He would tell me, I give you the day off of school next day if you go out. He tried to bribe me, you know.
But if you ask me why I do it, or why do we do the mummers, I don't really know. I have tons of friends. I can go have a beer with 1 million people, but it's in your blood. It's, you know, when they talk about the circus, the sawdust is in your. It's just in your blood. This is what you do. I don't know what I would do New Year's morning if I didn't come here. Wearing a suit or not wearing a suit. It's just everybody together, you know. There's no more complaining now. It's showtime.
Once I got into it, that's when it spiraled from there. But
You go up, you win first prize when you're 7 years old. I don't know if I had a choice.
I got here when I was 10 years old. Back in '68 was my first time I wore a suit in the Downtowners. We won first prize. And I left for a little while. I left for a few years, then I came right back. So I've been here ever since.
It's like a brotherhood.
you feel like you're a part of something. That's the first day I stepped into this club. That's how I felt.
It's unique, you know. It's the longest parade in America, the oldest, you know, from 1901. But it was way before that it started, you know. It's a fantastic parade, a fantastic tradition, and a great show, inside or out. It's always a great show.
I've been a mummer since I was 3 years old. I'm 75 years old now.
And I was like a kid in the candy shop. I mean, I was 22 then. I was no kid. I was a man. I mean, I had a wife. I was married. But it felt good.
Like I said, everybody has a different reason why they do it.
It was the best thing I did, you know.
That you belonged. That's always that way. And if you ask anybody that's how I feel, and that's how I guarantee a lot of these guys feel, is that it's just that welcoming feeling that you get when you come through these doors, you know. So that's how I look at it, you know.
How you grew up.
It was fantastic. Colors, suits were gorgeous. Everything clicked that year.
You just get consumed in the well-being of the club.
Just the love for the parade and seeing it, and
It's just where you come from. And if you ask people why they do it, they don't know. You really don't know why you do it. It's crazy. It's insane. Sometimes you argue, but you say to yourself, why do we do this? But you come back.
I think we do right, you know what I mean? We just do it very well. And just we just have a class act to ourselves. And I just really believe that, you know, it's just a fun place to be.
The friends, you know, it's a place to go. Wednesday night's club night. You make it known in your household that don't make plans on Wednesday night. Wednesday night's club night.
It's going on 28 years.
1979. I was 7 years old on New Year's.
I believe it's 48 now.
This is my 25th year at the Downtowners.
I joined in 1971. I was 5 years old, and then we're Sioux for 40, and this is my 50th year coming up, so it'll be 10 years as a marshal now.
In 1972, I started with the Downtowners. I started parading. 46 years.
Oh, I've been in the club 32 years, so I've been doing it for 72 years.
I joined here in 1984. I've been here for 35 years.
The club for about 20 years.
been in the club 45 years.
This is 32 years now.
My name is John Fratto.
Anthony Stagliano Jr.
Nicky D'Alonzo.
Frankie DeVito.
Philip Sanborn.
Joe Campbell.
James Van Arsdale.
Fran Wozniak.
Christopher Fine.
Jim Davis.
John Murray.
He keeps asking me questions.
I got myself in the biggest situation. 2002, I was in the back piece with the Chinese, and one of the members was out of line, so I figured I would fill his space up to make the lines even, and I got caught in the war wagon, and I just couldn't get off it. I was trying to wiggle off, and one of the marshals just looked at me, and didn't help me at all, and finally they shut the clock down at 4:12. I thought we got disqualified because I was still on the floor, but then my captain Jimmy said, "No, they stopped the clock at 4:12. Everything's good," you know. But that was it was funny, but then again, it could be it's disqualification, you know.
Because, I mean, when I joined 32 years ago, I didn't understand why they took it so serious. You were in makeup and feathers.
It was New Year's night, later that night. I'm gonna try to say it, make it as clean as I can, and then use work for it. It's the funny. We went out as toy soldiers. I don't know if you ever seen it. We had a big drum. I mean, a gigantic drum, where Billy was on the top and a horse. Going down 2nd Street, we had the drum. And one of our members' father had to go to the bathroom. So he went inside the drum. He couldn't see. Well, all of a sudden, Billy blows the whistle. The drum's moving. All of a sudden, the feet are hanging out the back of the float, and he's going down the street. Stop, stop, the feet's going down the street. You can imagine what he was doing, and it was a shame. But he couldn't stop laughing. Could not stop laughing. That's the funniest thing I ever seen.
We make a fool out of ourselves on the street because nobody knows who we are.
It was cute. It was cute.
A lot of ball busting in this place, you know.
Picked up on that.
Yeah.
It evolves and it keeps changing, but it stays the same.